CEO, got a lot to say about me not paying him $300,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize. Like, who the fuck you think I am? Well, you better slap your fucking self. Ain't paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any of the other sanctioned bodies? Huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you? So since you, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit. The fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanctioned bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanctioned bodies agreed to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize to you? The fuck? You can take the fucking belt.
Hey guys, what in the world is going on with Terence Crawford and the WBC? Terence Crawford just got stripped of his WBC title, and then he hopped on Instagram and completely unloaded on WBC and the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman. Like, I'm talking about completely unloading. If you guys seen my video, my opening video, and I got another one that I'm going to share with you guys, but this is shocking because I don't think I've ever as a fan been privy to boxers, especially at the caliber and status of Terence Crawford, refusing to pay the fees associated with the belts that they adorn, that they wear, that they represent. So this might be one of the biggest boxing shakeups of the year, and it's getting really, really messy pretty fast, guys. And I just want to explore what really happened here, why the WBC made this move, and what it actually means for Crawford, potentially Crawford and Canelo, and then there's and now that he's been stripped of his title, the WBC has ordered. Ordered might be a strong word, but they've requested that Christian Mbilli and Hamzah Sheeraz have a discussion because they could be next in line to fight for that title. All right, guys. So anyhow, this story is absolutely wild. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Sheeraz. And this is boxing, guys. This is the wild, wild world of boxing. And here we try to cover all the latest trending stories when it comes to the wild world of boxing, including the WWE, UFC, and MMA. So please smash a like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you guys don't miss a beat. But I really want to get into this, guys, because it's been really picking at me. In fact, I have a video that that you guys have probably seen on my channel about the amount of money that Terence Crawford had made by fighting Canelo Alvarez in his last fight. And we're talking about upwards of $50+ million, guys. Now, originally when Terence Crawford came out to talk about the earnings that he made on another podcast, on another show, he was talking about making around 10 million or so. But a lot of sources have quantified that the actual amount is upwards of about $50+ million. And you have to understand, like, the only reason that Terence Crawford may have not potentially disclosed the actual numbers is because all the gate receipts and pay-per-view revenues and bonuses and all those things are probably tabulated after the fact, and it probably took a little bit of time from from the accounting team to be able to put those numbers together. So now that we understand the kind of money he made, there's obviously fees. He was the undisputed world champion. So being the undisputed champion, you're pretty much undisputed. You're repping all the belts. There's fees associated with those belts. And so I want to kind of dive into this a little bit, right? So Terence Crawford is pound for pound king right now, okay? He's the guy who literally made boxing history by becoming the undisputed, all right? Like undisputed in three divisions. And now it is obviously factual news that he's been stripped of his WBC super middleweight title. Just like that, it happened in the middle of the night. And yeah, like literally at the WBC convention in Bangkok while most of us were sleeping. And according to Mauricio Sulaiman, it all comes down to one thing. All right. Now, the WBC claims that he owes fees from his fights against Canelo and Madrimov. Okay, so we're not just talking about a fee for one particular fight that he had against Canelo. We're talking about two fights. Okay, and get this. Apparently the WBC, they normally charge around 3%. They actually gave him a discount, right? So instead of the 3% mandatory fee, they actually dropped it down to 0.6%, because the payday that Terence Crawford actually received was quite massive, and to charge 3% on like $50+ million. I mean, that's an egregious amount, right? So what they decided to do is drop it down to 0.6%. And okay, if Crawford made about $50+ million, let's say $50 million against Canelo, the WBC essentially wanted $300,000. Okay, so and I'll talk a little bit about this as well too, right? So according to Mauricio Sulaiman, they apparently emailed Terence Crawford. They emailed his manager, his legal team, and talking about the fees, and nobody. Neither Terence Crawford, his manager, his management team, his legal team, nobody responded to the emails, or especially Mauricio's emails. Not even, thank you, we'll look into this. We got it. Thanks for your response. We're a little busy at the moment. We'll be in touch a little later. Nothing, nada. Not even, like, just completely ghosted the WBC and the president of the WBC, Mauricio Sulaiman. So the WBC, after not hearing back from them, and they gave it some time, they felt that they had no choice but to strip Terence Crawford of his title and make his title vacant, right? And so Crawford was not having this. I mean, he went on a 9-minute rant that he filmed while he was driving. He was driving somewhere. And he jumped on Instagram, and yeah, for 9 minutes from his car, he basically said, yo, what are you guys all talking about? You're making up numbers here, leaking info, and trying to embarrass me publicly. You could tell he felt, according to Terence Crawford, he felt that he was blindsided by the whole deal. He felt disrespected. And, his tone was just off the cuff. He was not politically correct. He wasn't civil. He was quite upset. And there was a lot of, I would play it, but there was just, a lot of curse words in there. And, Terence Crawford's like, after everything I've done for you guys, after everything I've done for the sport, this is how you treat the champ. And so, yeah, so look, nobody's hiding the fact that Terence Crawford, all right, is he was the undisputed champion after beating Canelo Alvarez. The Canelo was the biggest star going into boxing, okay, and then Terence Crawford beat him and has taken that crown from Canelo Alvarez, and along with all the gold and all the hardware, all right, and sitting pretty much on top of that throne, right. And 81 days later, right? Almost 3 months. He was stripped of his title on an email dispute. Now, it looks bad on both sides, okay? It looks bad for Terence Crawford, could look bad on the WBC, but look, there's things that are happening behind the scenes that we're not fully privy to, okay? So, although the optics are not good, right? There's obviously a lot of context to what's going on. Mauricio Solomon has built an incredible business, an incredible organization. They collect fees. Yes, they do. They collect fees because they use those fees, right? Obviously, to fund their organization. But a lot of those fees also go to retired or boxers who are no longer able to compete, boxers who are in need of, financial assistance. Obviously, life after boxing for some of these fighters is not the greatest. Okay, so some of these people, they're unable to get jobs, working jobs. They have some kind of a disability, some kind of an issue. So I get that, So a lot of those fees actually go to be able to help a lot of these individuals, right? So, and then of course there's an administration fee associated with that that's built into that they use to be able to pay for the salaries for their admin staff and all the folks involved in the organization so they can continue to keep it running. It's not just the WBC, right? It's the IBF, the WBO, the WBA. All the governing bodies have fees associated with their titles. Now, that said, this isn't all about money. And like in some cases you could throw control into the mix. You could talk about power. You could even talk about politics, at the highest level. But these sanctioning bodies have a reason from their perspective to be able to charge these fees. As to reiterate, the reason why is what I've already outlined. They need to run their organization. And now the argument could come down to is sometimes these fees could be a little bit egregious, like in terms of very high amounts, which could be a little unfair. But if you're making teens of millions of dollars, it's a small price to pay in the bucket. Or is it? Now, I'm just telling you guys the story, I'm telling you guys what happened. But I want you to be able to pick up these pieces and try to put the puzzle together and to be able to try to come up with a consensus of understanding as to what you think should actually happen. Because I would love to know from a fan's perspective, right? I'm going to try to see if I can interview some of the fighters and to try to get their perspective and opinion on it, because there's a lot of people with differing opinions on what they think should happen and what they think should have happened, right? There's a lot of folks who are, who made a career in professional boxing, who are outright, absolutely disgusted and upset at Terence Crawford for pulling what they call these as antics. And they said that he should have never done this. He should have, obliged by the rules, like all fighters and all people who are professional fighters, do, which is adhere to the guidelines and the rules. And this is, really what makes up professional sports, professional boxing. So there's a lot of people who made their careers in professional boxing who are absolutely livid and upset, right? Folks like Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearns, a lot of people have come out and they've actually voiced their opinions, strong opinions as well too, on how they feel about what happened. But then you also have Dana White, on the other hand, president, CEO of UFC, and Dana White he doesn't think this is a bad thing at all. He actually thinks that the sanctioning bodies and all these regulatory bodies that are part of the sport of boxing are the problem. And so anyhow, you guys, I'll play the clip for you guys, and you guys can tell me what you guys think. And let's watch it.
What did you think of the WBC stripping Terence Crawford of his belt?
Listen, if you look at how this thing's playing out, and first of all, let me say this: I love that all these boxing guys, love the Ali Act the way it is now. I want to see how many of them actually stay there and do that version of the Ali Act instead of the add-on that we're going to do. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to see what's going on with all these guys. They're all these guys that are crying the loudest are the fucking problems. They're the problem, every one of these guys. And, Crawford, nobody told Crawford to say anything. Crawford's his own man doing his own thing, and that's how he feels. And we'll see how this thing plays out in the next couple of years.
Are you surprised by this frosty reception from the other boxing promoters?
No, not at all. Not at all. But here's the thing that's great for fighters is that they have options. You know, all these promoters are saying the Ali Act is perfect and this is the way it should be. I want to see them all stay in it. I want every one of them to stay in the Ali Act as it is now for the next however many years. Right. I fucking guarantee you they won't.
Except I won't make you laugh because today I'm pretty fucking pissed off. Terence Crawford, he told the WBC to basically go fuck themselves yesterday and is refusing to pay sanctioning fees to them for his $50 million fight against Canelo. $50 million. Did he forget where he came from? Or how he got there? How do you think you rose to that level? Through the ranking system. You get positioned to make that kind of money. I mean, come on, you're 38 years old. You've been paying sanctioning fees for a long time in the past. There's nothing new here. It's nothing groundbreaking. You had no problem when they were ranking you to fucking fight Canelo. It's like my agent getting me a huge movie and he's asking for his 10% commission of all the work he put in. And then I tell him, you know what? Go fuck yourself. How fair is that? I've heard Crawford say many times that he loves the belts, but suddenly the WBC is the enemy and the ring belt is the only one that matters? I mean, seriously, Suleiman has to be rolling in his grave. Literally. I mean, it sounds like you're reading a script or something. Come on, you've been the ring mouthpiece and the chosen one since they came on board 2 years ago. We all know that. I mean, it looks like that monopoly money really got to your head. This is not the way champions behave. Once you start making money, you don't behave this way. Young fighters shouldn't be looking up to this. Any kid who becomes an amateur dreams of becoming a world champion and having a belt. The kids dream of becoming world champions like you did, Terence. This is not the way to behave. Look, yes, there is an agenda with TKO. Yes, they want to create one belt, one entity to control the entire sport. But it's sad that they made you the mouthpiece? You of all people? I thought you had integrity. I thought you had respect for boxing and the sport. What do you think the Jose Suleiman Foundation does because of those sanctioning fees that you refuse to pay? You know what he does? He helps these kids get off the streets. He houses ex-fighters. That money goes into retirement funds. That money goes into paying hospital bills for fighters who can't make it. So just because you made it, Crawford, and you made $50 million, you don't want to pay that fee ever again? That is wrong. I'm very disappointed. Yeah, there's an agenda here by that TKO group. And I'm going to do everything in my power to do whatever I can to protect boxing. Because this is a sport that gave me everything.
So there you have it, guys. I mean, you know, I showed you a couple different, scenarios there. A couple, you know, like, so you guys have like perspectives from both sides, so to speak. So you guys should be able to make up kind of your understanding as to what you think is right or wrong, or, you know, do you think Terence was in the right for him to be able to do this? You think he should have to pay these fees or not? Or how do you feel about him being stripped of his title? I mean, there's a lot to shake out here, guys. I mean, this is deeper This goes really, really deep. And here's the thing, guys. I mean, when sanctioning bodies start stripping champions, especially champions like Terence Crawford, or what he's been able to establish and do, and that historic moment, of him beating Canelo Alvarez, that's obviously going to go down in history. Now it's kind of somewhat awkward now because, I mean, a lot of that had the WBC kind of presence and significance behind all that. He was awarded that championship ring, which is a WBC, like championship ring, which is encrusted with gold and diamonds, absolutely beautiful. So there's a lot of other things associated with this. Like, do you now take him out of all future material, all print media? Like, you can't erase history, but how do you talk about this moment that he's achieved? Probably one of the biggest moments in professional sports and boxing, right? Because the WBC is historical. They have a legacy. When I think of these sanctioning bodies and I think of belts, I think of the WBC belt. It's probably one of the nicest, belts around, aesthetically speaking. But more importantly, it's the things that they do behind the scenes, right? And I'm a member of the WBC, and I see what's going on. Like, I mean, they had the conference in Bangkok recently, and they're also promoting Muay Thai fighters, and they have ambassadors all across the world, guys, all across the world, almost in every country, and their purpose is to really try to promote a better living for people through the sport of boxing. But not only just through the sport of boxing, but to do it in a way where it's friendly, right? And it's creating harmony within the communities, and trying to promote the sport of boxing in a good light, and helping people use it as a tool to be able to be more disciplined, more focused, and to try to be better and strive for being a better human being. So essentially, they're good stewards in a community. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think all people should be striving, and having those WBC legacies. And I think that's incredible. But Terence Crawford, something bugs him. Something has irked him. Something has bothered him to the point where he feels like he doesn't want to pay those fees. And maybe he has a point. We're going to have to look into this a little bit more. And who actually benefits now from this whole thing, right? Because this is going to shake up the entire division, because now that he's stripped of his title, now people are going to compete for the vacant title. But this is going to shake up not just the division, but it's going to shake up the sport of boxing and professional combat sports as we know it. It's going to happen. And so, who really benefits? It's not Crawford. It's not Canelo. You have guys like Christian Mbilli, Hamzah Sheeraz. I've talked a lot about Hamzah Sheeraz. I mean, both Christian and Hamzah are unbelievable fighters, okay? And they are the future of this sport. Hamzah is doing some incredible things. I actually did a video on how I think he could be the next biggest thing. And I mean, what's going on with these fighters from the UK? It's absolutely incredible. But he's got some good people behind him, and expect big things. Expect big things. So the WBC has already ordered, as I mentioned, Mbilli and Sheeraz, right? In discussions to talk about competing for this vacant title. They wasted no time. They wasted zero time on this, guys, right? So that tells me that this decision wasn't just spontaneous. It was absolutely strategic, right? And in my honest opinion, guys, I think this whole thing could have been handled a lot better, okay, by both. I mean, I can't speak to the efficacy of the administration department within the WBC and how they actually went about trying to contact Terence Crawford, his manager, his legal team, his management team. I mean, I can't speak to that, right? But at the same time, I think Terence Crawford, as great of a fighter he is, and sure, he was obviously profoundly upset, and he has every right to be upset. But for him to launch that 9-minute tirade on social media, essentially cursing, people like Marissa Suleiman and the executive leadership team and the WBC and everything, I think that could have been handled a lot better. I think it was a bit sloppy, and I think, truth be told, it's not classy, right? Yes, nobody's arguing the fact that, perhaps, you have a point here, you were wronged, the title was stripped. But I'm sure that, through proper negotiations and through proper discussion, civil discussion, that, you can come together in a collaborative manner to be able to find a more comprehensive, viable solution that would work out for both parties. And I think that's something that should have happened. And for whatever reason, it didn't. And perhaps maybe there was. I don't know about it, but it's unfortunate. And here we are today, and we're talking about this, guys, right? But you got to have a little bit more professionalism. Anyhow, and I think the damage is already done. And it's too bad this happened, because Terence is such an incredible fighter. And look, if Terence really did owe this money, then fine. Like, just handle it privately, or if these emails were sent out, and I'm sure there was some phone calls that might have gone through as well too. I mean, a guy like Terence Crawford, and as big as of a star that he is, I'm pretty sure the WBC, that is, utilize multiple communication methods to be able to get hold of him and his team. Now, if everything just kind of fell on deaf ears and nobody was responding to him, that's kind of weird, right? That's kind of strange. Somebody. Now, Terence might have been busy, probably vacationing. He's probably doing shit, like it is what it is. But there should have been somebody who's managing his inbox, right? It's PR team, management team, whoever he's got working on his roster. Somebody could have just responded and say, hey, thanks so much for your email. We're going to have a discussion about this, and let's set up a time so we can have a chat. That's it. It's that simple, guys. Communication 101. Communicate, guys. But nobody really knows exactly how much Terence actually made. There's just, again, the sources that we know of are all kind of under the consensus that he made over $50 million, right? Now, whether he made that money, he didn't make that money, whether it was close, I mean, honestly, it is kind of, I'm kind of impartial to this. Some people say it should be private, but I mean, if you're a fighter and you're fighting in the public eye, then everything should be public information. I mean, it's similar to if I wanted to go online and look at a sports team, like a baseball team, hockey, football, whatever it is, or I could even look at tennis players or any athlete that's out there. I could go online and I could be able to ascertain how much money they've actually made, or their net earnings in millions or thousands or whatever it is over how many years of the span of their career. So it should be no different for fighters as well. I mean, part of a lot of these changes, and then when you talk about the Muhammad Ali Act, and then there's obviously a lot of issues there where the TKO holdings, the like with Dana White and stuff, they're trying to make changes to the Muhammad Ali Act, and that's pissing off a lot of sanctioning bodies in boxing and a lot of promoters. But I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's all about accountability, right? It's about transparency, and the more transparent you are, I mean, it just shows that you've got nothing to hide. So I personally don't care if it's leaked as to how much money Terence Crawford make. I want to actually know that, and I think we should have a right to know that. I mean, damn it, if they're earning their livelihood in the public eye, then everything should be public information. Similar to our government officials, we're able to ascertain how much money they make on a yearly basis. Now, whatever that means to you, I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's not like I go and just search up how much somebody makes all day. But with such a big fight like this, I was definitely curious as to how much money or what the purse was for both Canelo and Terence Crawford. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I don't think you should feel bad about knowing those figures either, right? So I don't call it public shaming, or I mean, I don't think it's so private that was leaked out to the public. I mean, boo-hoo, guys. If you guys don't like the fact that your salaries are being made publicly available to people, then maybe not fight. Maybe take up something else, like go do a 9 to 5 or something. I don't know if you want that information so private. I don't know what the big deal is. We know how much our movie stars and actors and actresses are getting paid for the films that they do. So what's the difference here? I don't see a difference. Anyways, guys, so let's be real. Crawford needs boxing. Boxing needs Crawford. Okay, he's one of the few active fighters who actually brings legitimacy to the sport. 100%. Okay, he's definitely pound for pound one of the greatest. He's going to go down in history as one of the greatest. And I sure as hell would love to see another fight between him and Canelo to run it back. That would be so beautiful. I'd love to see, I'd love to see him and Hamzah Sheeraz or even Christian Mbilli fight. And there's a few other fighters, guys, in other divisions that I think could make an unbelievable opponent for Terence Crawford. But now we may not see that, because now that not only has he been stripped of the WBC title, he won't be allowed to compete against WBC fighters. Okay? So if he just gets up and says, forget the WBC and continues to fight, well, sure. I mean, he could do that without a belt. I mean, he's already proven himself. I mean, he's already undisputed in 3 divisions. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, his legacy is already carved in stone. All right. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see that potential super fight between him and Canelo anymore. Or it's going to definitely put roadblocks in him being able to fight other up and coming or superstars who are ranked in the WBC. So this is going to be crazy, right? Because we all know that a Canelo rematch, I mean, that fight would be massive beyond proportion. And honestly, belt or no belt, fans would watch it. I know I would, right? And if he fights someone completely new out of spite, I mean, like he's already teasing his next opponent, right? And if he picks a big name, the whole WBC thing might actually boost his hype, right? And I mean, will the WBC regret this later? I don't know. I mean, they're such a big organization. They've got so many good fighters. I mean, sure, it's going to affect them. I mean, obviously, I mean, you're talking about the franchise guy right now in at the highest level in your sport, who's no longer adorning the green and gold. Obviously, that's a big deal, but they'll survive. And so will Terence Crawford, right? If that title ends up at someone else, which it will, then so be it. That's what happens, right? And look, the whole situation, guys, is absolutely wild, right? Crawford feels betrayed. Mauricio Sulaiman feels betrayed. The WBC feels betrayed. They feel ignored. And the entire division is flipped upside down. I mean, this is breaking news, man. Everybody is talking about this shakeup, okay? And now with Mbilli and Sheeraz potentially on path to fight for this title, holy crap, it's going to make things so much more interesting, right? I mean, look, I don't know, guys. I don't know if this was rushed or not, but I think both sides just need to take a step back. They need to slow down. They need to just breathe, right? And they need to have better communication with one another, okay? Bottom line, communication is key. Communication can help mitigate from a lot of these issues from happening in the first place. And the lack of is the reason why we are where we are today. Stripping a champion like Terence Crawford doesn't help the situation, but ignoring one of the biggest sanctioning bodies on the planet and the president okay, of that organization does not help either. Like, come on, man, right? Like, this is common sense, all right? But look, I believe he should be paying those fees, okay? I think the fees, like, I mean, it's a small price, okay, to pay with the amount of money that you made. You made lottery earning money, okay, life changing money. People don't just wake up in the morning and come across $50+ million. And we're just talking about one fight here. They just don't do that. It just doesn't happen. So when you make that kind of money, I'm not saying you have to give it away. Nobody's saying that. But being part of an organization, it's kind of like having a professional designation. Okay, if you have a certificate or a trade certificate or a professional designation, you're part of a body, a group, and you have to pay fees. I know this, guys. Some of my friends who are doctors have to pay fees to be able to do what they do. You may not like it, but that's part of the business. And if you're going to complain, oh, well, what do those guys do with those fees? They just buy themselves catering and the execs sit in their nice offices. And that's not for you to complain about or for you to really care. At the end of the day, it is justified because there is proof that a lot of those fees are going to legitimate sources and taking care of the people that actually benefit from it. Okay, so everybody's kind of pitching into this pool to be able to help spearhead those efforts, right? So everybody kind of does their part, so to speak, right? And so, I mean, look, that's just the way it is, guys. That's just the way it is, right? So bottom line, if you guys haven't watched Terence Crawford's rant, so let me summarize it for you, okay? So number one, he refuses to pay the WBC, okay, their sanctioning fees that they're requesting from him, right? He's calling out folks, like he's calling out the president himself, Mauricio Solomon, and he's calling him out because Mauricio is asking him, requesting that he pays his fees, which equate to about $300,000, right? And it's according to Terence Crawford, it's more than what the other sanctioning bodies require of their fighters. So he's upset at that. He says that the WBC thinks that they're way more important than any other organization. Okay, now these are not my words. These are Terence Crawford's words. I'm just summarizing the 9-minute rant that he did on Instagram, on social media. So I'm just kind of summarizing some of the things that he said. And he thinks that every other body, the WBO, the IBF, the WBA, accepted the same kind of fee structure. But for whatever reason, the WBC, according to Terence Crawford, wanted more money and acted as if they were more superior than the other sanctioning bodies. Terence Crawford also believes that the WBC isn't worth what they're charging. I don't know why he would say that. He says that the Ring Magazine belt is the real championship and it's free, right? While the WBC belt is just a trophy piece that fighters are forced to pay for. Okay, so he rejects the idea that he should have to apologize. Crawford is offended that Mauricio Solomon had publicly said that he never actually apologized for not responding. He basically saying that, Terence is basically saying that I don't owe the WBC an apology. I don't owe them anything, right? He feels that fighters shouldn't have to pay sanctioning bodies at all. He argues the fact that fighters put their lives on the line every single match. I agree with that. Fighters absorb the damage. I agree with that. Fighters take all the risks. I agree with that. But at the same time, what happens in the event that a fighter is injured? What happens when they do lose their life in the ring? It's happened before. What happens? And they don't have insurance, because insurance is not going to cover a professional fighter because of the profession that they're in, right? And so when the fighter assumes all the risks involved for them wanting to fight, they're assuming that risk. They understand that the whole risk factor, guys, they assume the fact that something could go wrong. This is why they get paid an enormous amount of money for the most part. So a small little portion of the money that you make going back to the sanctioning body so you can help other people before you, other fighters who are not so fortunate as you or in a position where they need help. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? So when you talk about why are fighters paying the WBC instead of the WBC supporting them, well, how's the WBC supposed to support their fighters? Where are they going to get that money from? Right? It's a collective effort. And if you don't like that, and if you don't want to be part of that collective effort, then why did you go and want to be a unanimous champion? Why did you want to go and be the undisputed champion, wearing the WBC belt, knowing very well that they charge fees? And if you feel that they charge higher fees than everyone else, why would you take that? Why would you still accept that offer to fight? That's like me accepting a job offer for a company I don't really want to respect, that I don't really want to be a part of, but I'm doing it because it's just going to look good on my resume and then I'm going to quit. That's just, I don't know. I don't get that, right? So knowing that you assumed all the risks and everything, knowing that you understood the fine print, okay, that you weren't obliged. It wasn't mandatory. You weren't forced or coerced into fighting. So at that point, you could have just said, you know what? I don't agree to these terms forehand. Let's negotiate on these terms. You guys could have probably negotiated those terms before you got into the ring with Canelo Alvarez. And if you felt that the WBC wasn't acting on good faith and they weren't willing to work with you, then you had every right to pull out of that fight and not fight and fight somebody else. And then just vacate and just, vacate the title, right? A lot of fighters are vacating titles. Alexander Usyk just vacated the WBO title, and because of which Fabio Wardley became the WBO champion, right? Daniel Dubois was on path to fight Frankie Sanchez in the IBF title eliminator. He decided he just doesn't want to go that route anymore, and he opted out of it. And look, fighters do it all the time. So if you didn't like the green and gold, and if you don't like all these fees, why argue about it after you signed the dotted line? That's what I don't understand, right? So if anyone has any other information to help me make sense of all this, please share it with me. All right. So he accuses the WBC of living lavishly off fighters' money. That's an egregious claim. Crawford claims that WBC officials fly first class everywhere they go. They stay in luxury hotels. They eat expensive meals. They travel the world. Yeah. They do that. I'm not saying all of them do that, but they are a business. They are an organization, right? I mean, it's even in the regular 9-to-5 world, guys, like, your union dues or the fees that you're paying into, and like, look, I'm not saying what's right, I'm not saying what's wrong. Obviously, if you're a not-for-profit or if you're an organization, there has to be some more accountability, more transparency. But at the end of the day, again, I can't validate that all of that is necessarily true. But you can't complain about it after the fact. If you know all of this beforehand, then why all of a sudden are you bringing it out now when you knew that you had to pay fees? If you felt that you didn't have to pay fees, then you know yourself that you're already going to be violating the terms of your agreement before getting into your match against Canelo Alvarez. Right? So anyways, guys, look. He compares the sanctioning fees to being taxed by a government, okay? He says every fight feels like fighters are paying a tax, and especially that to like a private organization that offers no real service in return. It's just a belt. I disagree. Again, those fees Sure, they go to a lot of salaries. They go to some of those a small makeup of those fees actually are portioned out. They go to the business, and as a business operations, they're allocated where they need to go. But a majority of those fees are actually going to funds that are created for these fighters that I was telling you about, and to help them continue on with their daily living, their day-to-day living. And so it's not just a belt. It's more than a belt, right? And then there's all these community initiatives and efforts that are happening all around the world. There's WBC representatives in every country, and not just one or two. Depending on the size of your country, there's multiple folks who are part of the initiative and scene, who are just there to be able to help kind of be good stewards in their community and promote, the sport of boxing and the values that, sanctioning bodies like the WBC has, so that they can help promote proper discipline and promote the beauty of boxing through a lot of these neighborhoods and communities that are impoverished or who are struggling and need that kind of assistance. I mean, there's so many young up and coming fighters who want an opportunity to do more, and for them to get into the sport of boxing, sometimes it helps create that path. But before I go off on a tangent, guys, again, these are just facts, and if you don't believe in that, then that's your opinion, right? But I'm just kind of pointing it out that there's a large portion of these fees that people pay into. That's the reason why. That's where it goes. So anyhow, guys, Crawford's point is that the WBC overcharges. Okay, they act entitled. They provide no clear structure or benefit or value equal to the cost of what they're charging their fighters, and they expect fighters to essentially fund their own lifestyle while risking their own health in the ring. You did choose boxing as a career, one of the most dangerous professions on the planet. That's a choice that you made, and if you don't want to be part of a governing body or a body that is there to help promote the well-being of their fighters, then you should have made it clear in the beginning. But that said, guys, that's all I have to say on that. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on what you feel, and how do you guys take this? Like, what are your thoughts on all this? So anyhow, I want to thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for spending the time to get this in-depth, dive into what's actually happening between Terence Crawford and WBC. It hurts me because as a fan, I just want to see both of these guys find a way to kind of make amends with one another, and I want to see Terence Crawford compete again, perhaps as a WBC champion and against WBC fighters. I truly believe through civil dialogue and through communication is key, guys, that they should be able to work something out. But you let me know how you guys think and feel, and I look forward to catching you guys on the next one.